Friday. Now, things are going to be a little bit different come Thursday because I will no longer be the on air host here at Cities 92.9. However, you can still get some local content. You can get Tom's 10, which will be approximately at 7:19 every morning, Monday through Friday, and that's about 10 minutes of local, hyper local content brought to you by Tom Davis. And Tom's going to be interviewing some folks. He's going to be covering some local news. It's going to be great. And also on Thursday, you're going to hear Hugh Hewitt. He starts at 5 o'clock and goes all the way to 9. Now, a few people have been emailing me, man, there's a lot of changes. Yes, there's a lot of changes to the weekend. There's a lot of changes to the week when you change up a morning show. And being that I am no longer going to be the program director, you kind of have to adjust things a little bit. So we will have our exact lineup posted on our website. That's cities929.com on Thursday. And you're going to be tuned in to Hugh Hewitt around this time on Thursday because I've taken a new position and it was a tough decision. I love you. I've really enjoyed working with Great Plains Media and Cities 92.9. And I absolutely just have loved getting to know each and every one of you out at things like Seats for Soldiers, or recently we went to Ride the Nines Shooters Lounge, which love Glenn. And I love it over there. We were there for a petition signing. Now, we do have some tickets to give away today, and I'm very excited about it. McLean County Republicans, they're giving away some tickets. So hang tight. I'm going to give those away at the bottom of this segment. So about 6:18. So in about 10 minutes, I'm going to be giving away some tickets to a GOP breakfast this Saturday. It's going to be a great breakfast. You get to meet the candidates. McLean County Republicans, they're hosting a breakfast for voters to meet the candidates. This is a great thing that will be on your ballots for the upcoming primary. Early voting has started. We know that. And primary election day is on March 19th. I recommend you get out there and you vote early and vote often, right? As the Democrats do. No, I'm just kidding. But yes, the early voting has started. The breakfast attendees, you will hear from these candidates. And they're going to be a wide range of candidates. There's going to be congressional candidates. There's going to be county board races there. There are several contested primaries this year. And this is a chance to help you decide which Republican you're going to nominate or you're going to vote for. Okay, so this is going to be on Saturday, February 17th, and the doors open at 8:30 a.m. The breakfast kind of starts. The program starts at 9 o'clock, and it goes until about 11. And it's going to be at the DoubleTree Hotel. I've gone to these before, and they are fantastic. I absolutely love these breakfasts because it's a great place to kind of just have a cup of coffee and like everybody's kind of tired in the morning. And I find that more people are honest in the morning because they don't have time to, think quickly on their feet or like they're not awake enough to think quickly on their feet and to spin answers. So I always love going to these because if you want authentic answers from politicians, the best time to get them is in the morning because they haven't had their coffee and they're not caffeinated enough to spin their way out of questions. So go there. If you don't win the tickets here in about 8 minutes, what I'm going to do is tell you that you need to get your tickets. It's $25. But it goes to a great cause, obviously, the McLean County Republicans. Find your tickets at McLeanCountyRepublicans.org. No tickets are going to be sold at the door. Okay, folks, so you got to get them online, McLeanCountyRepublicans.org. And I will be giving away those in just a few minutes, 8 minutes to be exact. So stay tuned. What are we talking about this morning? Sorry about all the housekeeping. Let's get to the actual news. Uber Eats, they were forced to edit a peanut allergy joke from a commercial because people with peanut allergies, they whined about it. Yes, so this was a Super Bowl commercial, so we're gonna chat about Uber Eats and how they edited this peanut allergy commercial. I'm so sick of the victim. I'm a victim and, I have a peanut allergy, so I deserve this, that, and the other. No, 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 no. Next, we do want to talk about Planned Parenthood. If you haven't aborted them, we're gonna make sure you finish the job by asking your one-year-old what their preferred gender is. Okay, so we know the statistics around LGBTQ people and how they kill themselves at an alarming rate. It's very concerning. There's no other population where they commit suicide in those types of in that amount. I mean, it's worse than. I've said this multiple times. I hate Holocaust comparisons, but the Auschwitz camps, like the concentration camps, right? What they would do is kill themselves to avoid the gas chamber, and it was a very high suicide rate. But the and it's very sad in the LGBTQ community, it's way higher. It's way higher than even that, and nobody's talking about it. So, if you're asking your one-year-old what preferred gender they are, I mean, this is Planned Parenthood way of finishing the job. They didn't get you to get an abortion. You wound up having the baby anyway. This is how you finish the job statistically. If your child it comes out LGBTQ or identifies as a preferred gender, they're not going to make it very long. I'm just saying. All right. Ron DeSantis killed me. Ah! The activists, they claim that the Florida governor and the DMV is literally killing them over this new law against changing gender on your license. So you can't change your license to reflect your preferred gender. That's against the law because it's fraud. Truly, that is. I mean, that's fraud. See, these people don't want equal treatment; they want special treatment. Okay, so I do want to talk about that this morning. Let's get to the peanut story, and then I'm going to give away these tickets, so stay tuned. There's often a warning label on peanut butter jars. We know this, and it says contains nuts. Okay, that's a warning to people who have nut allergies. Um, and that's there for the extremely incompetent individuals who are incredibly stupid. You wonder how they're even able to breathe. That's there contains nuts. Yeah, it's peanut butter, but anyway, we have to put that label on it. Like the coffee cups at McDonald's, you have to put caution hot on them for the extremely stupid individuals who I don't know how they wake up in the morning and remember to breathe. But anyway, it happens that those same individuals who would take those are the same individuals who would take offense and cry about a joke that the rest of the population wouldn't even think twice about. Okay, okay. What am I talking about here? Well, a Super Bowl ad where someone ate peanut butter and they ended up getting an allergic reaction in the skit. Okay, in this commercial, this group called Food Allergy Research Education has taken offense to the ad for no logical reason. I don't know, except for the fact that they need attention. But the dumbest part about all of this is that Uber, they decided to listen to these asinine cries and they edited their ad. So this is an Uber Eats ad. And it was a peanut butter jar, and the guy, he eats the spoonful of peanut butter. So the ad was created by the agency Special Group, and it shows regular people making comically absent-minded goofs. Okay. So it's like a comedy bit, it's a skit where people do absent-minded things. One scene was unfunny for many. I don't think it's very funny either, but not for the reason they're saying it's unfunny. A man eating a spoonful of peanut butter from the jar who has broken out in hives and his left eye is swollen shut and he has an allergic reaction and he glances down at the food label and he says, "There's peanuts and peanut butter? Oh, it's the primary ingredient." right? I'm explaining the ad for you. It's very visual, so I'm not gonna play the ad for you, but, um, the ad was slammed by this nonprofit advocacy group. It's called Food Allergy Research and Education. They're not doing much educating, they're just doing a lot of, like, virtue signaling and crying for attention. I love how they have these fancy names, these nonprofit, these NGOs. They have these, like, elaborate fancy names, and you're like, "Oh, yeah, food allergy research and education, that's a good thing." No, they're out there doing stuff like this, crying about an ad that made fun of peanut allergies. Um, "We're incredibly disappointed by Uber Eats using life-threatening food allergies as humor in its Super Bowl ad. The suffering 33 million Americans with this condition is no joke. Life threatening food allergy is a disease. It's not a diet. Enough is enough." Are you serious with this? Come on. It's so funny. Text me and let me know. Are those with a peanut allergy? If you've got a peanut allergy, are you offended? Are you offended by this ad? I really want to know. Uber should have just ignored their these insane creatures. That's what these people are. They're just critters, and given no thought to their illogical objections. But instead, they caved and they listened to these snowflake-like demands in the guise of not offending anyone ever for anything. Okay, so they caved into these demands, the snowflake demands, and they think that they're never gonna offend anybody ever, and they don't wanna offend anybody ever. I mean, come on, it's peanut butter. It's literally a joke. No one with a peanut allergy cared about that. But the group is acting as if they poisoned people with peanut butter. I'm pretty sure that nearly everyone with a nut allergy knows not to eat a spoonful of peanut butter. Okay, the reason why this group went and cried to Uber is not because they think people would be offended by any of this. No, no, no. It's because we live in a society that worships victims. And too many people these days, too many of them, they'll turn themselves into victims over anything. I'm black. I'm gay. I have a peanut allergy. I'm a woman. Like, come on. Peanut butter jokes don't victimize anyone. And it's even more asinine that Uber catered to this. Mob rules should not dictate how giant corporations joke around uh, in their marketing material. Okay, I don't know how this is just a little group I've never heard of, and this is a giant corporation. Okay, Uber Eats is huge, so it's like, man, if they bend to this tiny little advocacy group, and any company that bends the knee like this, they're just pathetic. They're just pathetic. And I hate to say it, but the joke wasn't even all that funny. All right, folks, we're giving away some tickets. Um, we're giving away a pair of tickets, two, two tickets to the primary candidates are going to be there. The McLean County Republicans are hosting a breakfast. It's the Meet the Candidates breakfast. It happens every year around this time, where we get to go meet the candidates. The voters get to meet the candidates and get to talk with them. And all the candidates will be there that are on your ballot, at least some of them, a lot of them. And it ranges from U.S. congressional races to state house races to county board races. So we've got a lot of contested primaries this year. This is a great place to find your candidate and to ask them some questions, be involved. Give me a call at 309-451-9299, and I will give you a pair of tickets right now. 309-451-9299. We're going to be right back. This is the Morning Buzz. Good morning. Hey, we're going to be right back. This is the Morning Buzz, and I'm very excited because guess what, folks? We are going to be chatting a little bit about Planned Parenthood because Planned Parenthood is out there and they are now saying that you need to tell your 1 year old or ask your 1 year old how they identify. What gender are they? We're back in just a little bit. Smash that like button and share this with your normie friends. I'm back next. Woohoo! Hey, good morning. This is the Morning Buzz. Congratulations to Brittany. Brittany Davis. She won that pair of tickets to the McLean County GOP breakfast, Meet the Candidates breakfast. That's going to be on Saturday, February 17th. The doors open at 8:30 a.m. The program starts at 9 o'clock. It's going to be at the Doubletree Hotel. And, tickets are available, folks. Sorry you didn't win them. Brittany beat you, but you can get your tickets today. They're only 25 bucks, and it's totally worth it, because you get an amazing breakfast, first off. Second off, you get to meet the people who are going to be on your ballot, and you get to be involved. You gotta be involved. You gotta make a difference, and you gotta know who you're voting for because voting has consequences. And you can get your tickets, mcleancountyrepublicans.org. Look under the future events tab. The cost is $25. No tickets are going to be sold at the door. Big thank you to the McLean County Republicans. A quick announcement. I'm going to keep announcing this just throughout the next couple of days here that I will no longer be the city's 92.9 radio show host in the mornings. We are replacing the morning buzz with Hugh Hewitt. However, there's going to be hyper local content at around 7:19 a.m. Every single morning, Monday through Friday. And Tom Davis is going to host Tom's 10. So he's going to interview folks. He's going to keep you updated on the local news and state news, and he might even throw some national in there. But I have taken a new position, and this was a very, very tough decision because I love you. I end the show every day because with bye bye, I love you. Um, because I do mean that. I mean, I love brothers and sisters in Christ. I love just brothers and sisters, right? And meeting you and chatting with you all these years. I've been doing this for a few years now. It's been a blast, and growing behind this microphone has been tough. I think I finally have got it down a little bit, how to do a show, how to prep it, and I mean, I still struggle, but it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great where I'm going. It's for journalism, so I'll be covering uh, some things in Illinois, and you guys can stay tuned. I'll make an announcement on my Facebook page where I'll be headed. Can't make the announcement yet, but I will be doing some journalism. You guys know I went to Illinois State University for journalism, and I'm very excited about this new position. And I'm sad to be leaving, but we've got some good things in the works, and you guys are going to love it. It's all the changes are going to be made on Thursday. So the day after tomorrow, tomorrow will be my last show. Before we took the break, I want to get to the news now, okay? Because you're here for the news. But I want to make sure that you guys know as this change has been happening, it's been happening for quite some time. We've made some moves here at cities on the weekends and in the overnights. So that way you guys get as much live show as possible. Um, and we've made some changes to the weekday lineup and weekend lineup, but we are going to solidify those changes, and the show lineup will be posted on our web, cities929.com, posted on the web, and you guys can see all the shows Monday through Friday and on the weekends there. Okay, before we took the break, I was telling you guys a little bit about Planned Parenthood. Okay, they did something absolutely ridiculous. They posted something on their website, and during the first year of life, kids, they don't talk in full sentences. I don't think I need to tell you that, okay? If you're a mom, you definitely know that. Um, th by the second year, kids don't understand the concept of counting, okay? They still don't understand counting, they don't speak in full sentences. You're lucky if they start crawling, right, or walking, and at the age of 3, kids can't read. They just can't grasp, comprehension or reading. But none of that matters when we're talking about gender identity, at least according to Planned Parenthood. This is ridiculous. The organization, they are all about choosing to abort one's choice. Okay. They are now recommending that parents should begin asking their kids about their gender between the ages of 1 and 3. Wow. So here's when I saw this, I was like, okay, wait a second. Um, they they want you to kill your baby, and if you don't kill your baby, they want to make sure that the job gets done and that the kid does it himself or herself. Because statistically, we know that if you identify as transgender, the likelihood of you making it out of that and not committing suicide is very, very low. Post-op, pre-operation, if you were to do some sex changes or if you were to get on some hormone replacement therapy. No, all of it. It doesn't matter. The suicide rate is high for pre-op, post-op. They're all high. And post-op, there's some scientific data that shows that post-op, if you get the sex change or if you're on hormones, you kill yourself at a higher rate. Now, there's conflicting studies about that, but um, either way, they transgender people kill themselves at an alarming rate. And really, this is Planned Parenthood's. Oh, so you didn't abort your baby? Well, we're going to kill him a different way. Um, Planned Parenthood, they published parental guidance on gender identity that encourages asking toddlers between ages 1 and 3 how they identify. So the guidance, it's titled this: 4 facts you need to know about your kids, gender identity, and being trans. This is the guidelines, and it's titled that, which is listed on the Planned Parenthood website under gender identity. And it states that as a fact, the gender identity for everyone is formed in the toddler years. What do they mean when they claim that gender identity is formed in the toddler in those years? They say the gender identity is formed in those years 1 to 3. Wait a second, wait a second. I thought transgender people were born that way. How can something be formed when it's a birth trait? They claim they're born that way. And then also, um, I thought gender was a social construct, which thus is not a fact. They say, "Oh, gender, it's just a social construct. It's not a fact." I thought I thought it was based on one's subjective truth. Okay, I they can't even keep track of their own insane ideology. Okay, so it's very clear on the Planned Parenthood website they didn't get the memo that gender identity, transgender people, they're born that way. And they also didn't get the memo that, gender is a social construct and it's not a fact. So Planned Parenthood, they tell parents that in order to create a safer space for their toddler, they should ask that child point blank if they identify as a boy or girl. Whatever the toddler gives, then the parent needs to accept it and treat them as such. Wow. Quote, as soon as your kid is able to understand the concept of gender, they will tell you their gender. To create a safer space, you might consider asking directly to the 1 to 3-year old, are you a boy or girl? And being open to whatever answer they give you. Note, if you tell them they're wrong, it will not change their gender identity, but it could make them worry that they're not loved, um, and they're not lovable the way they are. This is what the guidance states. These people are seriously screwed up. They want to destroy any foundational knowledge or innocence kids will ever have. They want children on a gender bender bandwagon. They want them on the bender bandwagon, and they want them on that bandwagon before they can even count, before they can read, and before they're even potty trained. And that's insane. And they say that you're the right wing extremist. This is extreme. This is an anti scientific organization that replaces fact with illogical ideology. First, these people try to convince the masses that babies are not babies and they're not alive, even though anybody who can read a first grade science book knows that life begins at conception. And ironically, gender is also decided at conception. I like to say sex is decided at conception. The sex of the baby is decided. Gender is a made up word. But again, this organization decided that those facts get in the way of their insane ideology, and they've ignored all of the facts. The reality is, at that age, kids correlate gender to things like hair and clothes. But once they get a little bit older, they understand that gender is not subjective. Okay, that's why they're pushing this insanity on kids before they can even count, because at that age, you're associating gender with things like hair, clothes, colors, activities, maybe. I mean, I was a tomboy. I am so glad my mom did not. I mean, she told me she would say, "Hey, you got to get in the dress for church. Hey, you gotta get in the dress for church. You're a little girl, you gotta wear a dress." And I was not about that. I was like, "Nope, I wanna wear jeans, I wanna wear Heelys to church." Heelys, folks, it was a big thing when I was growing up where they were like skater shoes and you could, like, roll on them. And, had this weird thing about wanting to go fish with my dad and my brother, and the thing is, a lot of girls are tomboys, growing up, especially if they have great male role models in their life. I have an older brother, a twin brother. I loved doing things with him, fishing. I liked going outside and playing. I liked just being around him. It's not, see, and here's the thing. Here's how I know, because I like camping and kayaking and going to the range and shooting guns and things like that. Typically male dominated hobbies. I love male dominated hobbies, but I've realized, I don't go and do those things by myself. I never do. And I think really what it is, it's having that male role model and hanging out with men that women really like. And then they don't really understand that. So they, dressed a little bit like a tomboy, and they like do a lot of tomboy things. I was like climbing trees and hitting or hitting trees with sticks, and I was a crazy tomboy growing up. I am so glad that my mom did not look at me when I was 1 years old or 2 years old or 3 year old and ask me if I was a boy or girl. And I bet my answer would have been, "Oh, I'm a boy." If I'm 1 or 3. Um, and if I can even form a sentence, right? But yeah, you know what else kids have during those years? Imaginary friends too. So, I mean, what's next? Are we going to start affirming their imaginary friends and saying, yes, those are real? Um, no one should take any kind of parenting advice from an organization whose business model is based off of killing babies, by the way. I do need to take a quick break. You're listening to the Morning Buzz. When we come back, Ron DeSantis, he's just bad, man. He's just a terrible man. He killed me. This is actually great legislation. It's great law. You guys know I'm not a fan of Ron DeSantis, but the governor and the state legislator, they got this passed. It's where the DMV, they have a new law out there where they're not going to commit fraud on your license by changing your gender to your preferred gender. on your license. So these activists, they're claiming that Florida and the governor, the DMV, they want them dead. Yes. A bit of an exaggeration. We're going to be back next on The Buzz talking a little bit about that story. Find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. I so do appreciate it. Hey, curious if you've heard anything about Unit 5 in County U of I research survey they've thrown. Yes, I have heard about that. I am going to put the link in the description. They're called, I think you're talking about the mental health screenings. I actually did a write up for this, and I will throw it into the comment section. Um, the I'm gonna throw it into the comment section here, if I can find it. But yes, it's the state is going to recommend Illinois schools. Here we go. Okay, there's the entire link, but I'll read through it a little bit for you. A new state law, the Wellness Checks in Schools Program Act. Okay, so everybody loves wellness, right? Checks, wellness checks. Who would be opposed to that? Will require mental health screenings for Illinois' 2 million school students. Okay, it's going to require, but not mandate. Okay, this is important. Um, they're just mental health screenings. I want to make sure. Oh, this is actually the better link. Here we go. Systems consult. There is your link. It's the city's link there. This one. Um, And this new law is going to recommend that Illinois schools implement these mental health screenings. Now, I talked to Regan Deering very much at length about this. So, these new mental health screenings, they're a government expansion program being phased in this fall. Now, there is an opt out form. This is crucial that you know that there's now an opt out form. It's called the Illinois Youth Survey, and it may be administered to high school or middle school students in public and private schools. The survey asks questions about gender, drug use, suicide, and family dynamics. My favorite question um, is there uh, an adult in your life you know, other than your parent, that you could talk to about important things in your life? And then, like 70 questions later, or like a billion questions are about your gender identity. It's ridiculous. So we know what's going on here. Um, Now, Regan Deering, who's running in the 88th, I chatted with her. She's a actual school board member in Mount Zion, and she has a superintendent, and she had asked her superintendent about these surveys. He said he hadn't heard of them, and he doesn't intend to utilize the Illinois Youth Survey. Now, this was done in partnership, like you said, Systems Consult, with U of I. So U of I created the survey. I don't know. Publicly funded universities suck. The state partnered with the University of Illinois Center for Prevention Research and Development, and the data can be accessed by school administration and that data center. Okay, so there's a big thing here where, the question becomes, okay, so say my child participates in this survey, where does that data go? Well, the administration has access. You don't have access to it because there's a new law out there that says that minors ages 12 through 17 have the right to assess and authorize the release of their mental health records. So this is a mental health record, and parents have the rights to the minor's records only if that minor doesn't object. So if you're 12 to 17, and I mean, this is a very invasive survey. It talks about drug use, it talks about booze. If you're a teenager, 16, and you booze it up on the weekends or something, and you don't want mom and dad to know, um, then what you're going to do is say, no, I don't want mom, I don't want dad seeing this survey where I answered that question honestly on the Illinois Youth Survey. But Oh, the University of Illinois gets that information. You, the parent, you don't, because we've given the decision over to the 16-year-old. Parents have the rights to the records if the minor does not object or if the therapist feels compelling reasons to override that minor. So there's so many things with this. Seems to be doing it. Administration is a joke. Ridgeview, Leroy, in Unit 5. Yeah. Well, there is an opt-out form, and in this link, folks, you can get your opt-out form, and you have to make sure you fill out the opt-out form because otherwise it will be administered and it will be given to your child. This is a very invasive survey, and you don't have to participate. There is an opt-out form um, that you can utilize. All right, I'm going to be back here next on the buzz. Hey, good morning, folks. This is the Morning Buzz. You really need to join the YouTube stream sometime because we talk about a lot of cool things there. We talked about this new Illinois Youth Survey. It's a great reminder. Folks, get your opt out form. Just get your opt out form. It's real easy if you need. If you need help finding an opt-out form, you can always text me at 309-451-9299. Now, what Illinois is going to do, they're going to recommend Illinois schools implement mental health screenings for students enrolled K through 12th grade. Now, we're hearing in the chat here that Leroy, we've got Ridgeview, we've got McLean County. They are going to be implementing this Illinois Youth Survey. Now, the Illinois Youth Survey is very invasive. That's the best way I can talk or tell you about it is, it talks about gender, drug use, suicide, family dynamics, drinking. Um, and one question in particular that I don't like, if I was a parent, I would not like this question. Is there an adult other than your parent you could talk to about important things in your life? Right there, it's driving a wedge. It's driving a wedge right between kids and their parents. And I don't like that. I don't like it at all. And these are not going to be administered by mental health professionals. They're going to be administered by, Becky, who's straight out of college and, has a nose ring and blue hair and, demands that the kids call her Bert. Okay. Um, so they're not going to be administered by mental health providers or professionals. They're going to be administered by Becky, who's right out of college and teaching her kid for 8 hours a day. So they partnered the state of Illinois and University of Illinois Center for Prevention Research and Development. And they created this survey and they have access to that data, the school administration and the center. And, there is an opt out form. You have to complete the opt out form. Otherwise, your child will be participating in this survey. Okay. And the thing of it is, you will not have access to that data on that survey. So there's one question on there. I've got a list of the survey too. If you want the survey, if you want the opt out form, I'll show you. The survey I can make available to you. I mean, it's invasive and it's clear what the agenda is here. But there's a law also out there in the state of Illinois that says 12 to 17-year-olds can now assess and authorize the release of their mental health records. Okay, so the question of releasing those mental health records, hey, can we release these? That decision making power is now with the 12-year-old, the 13-year-old, the 16-year-old. And parents have no rights to the minor's records only if the minor does not object. Now, in this Illinois Youth Survey, we've got questions about drinking, right? And maybe the 17-year-old goes to a party and drinks a little bit. That is wrong. Okay. And I never did that in high school. And didn't have my first drop of alcohol until I was like 21. I don't know. I was just not a big drinker at all. Um, but the minors records, like the Illinois Youth Survey talks about drinking. So if the kid drinks on the weekend, right, and parties at 17 years old, The 17-year-olds can say, "No, you don't have access, and I don't want mom and dad to have access to my Illinois youth survey where I answered the questions about me drinking." And it's like, what? The parents can't help you then? Kids drinking at the age of 17, the likelihood that they turn into an alcoholic is pretty high. And if they're abusing drugs and alcohol, don't you think that the parents should know? Right? But of course, they're not going to tell mom and dad. And of course, they're going to object to the parents having access to that data. Another reason or another thing that um, where parents would have rights is if a therapist feels compelling reasons to override the minor and give those mental health records over to the parents. So there's no parental rights, but I'm glad somebody brought that up in the chat. It's a great reminder that yes, you can opt out. That implementation is going to be this fall. So the kids will come back from summer and they will be given an Illinois youth survey, likely um, at your school. So check in with your school board and stay on top of this, right? That's why we have the program, and I've had this program for quite some time. I do have an announcement here on the other side of this break. I've been informing y'all that I am no longer going to be with Cities 92.9 as radio show host, and I've taken a new position. It's going to be sad, but it's going to be great. You guys can still follow me and my work. I'll share it onto my Facebook page. It's a public page. You guys are welcome to look me up. But I'll be back on the other side. This is the Morning Buzz, Cities 92.9. Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. You can always text me at 309-451-9299, and I'll be back with the Patriot Power plug. It's our last one, folks. I am going to no longer be the city's 92.9 radio host as of Thursday, February 15th. You will hear a new morning program at 7:19. You can tune in and you'll hear Tom Davis doing his 10, Tom's 10. It's 10 minutes of hyper local content. So I'm really pumped for that. Our last Patriot Power plug is going to be with Mike Coolidge uh, right here at about 7:06. So hang out, find me on the stream. I've got a story there that I want to share with you. That's YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. That's next. Woohoo! Good morning. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. I so do appreciate it, Dan. Nope, never give authorities information, not even fingerprints. So I don't know what you're talking about, guy. I was talking about the, mental health records. And I mean, the parents aren't authorities, right? They are quite literally the creators of that child. So, I mean, yeah, the parents should have the right to um, their minor child's mental health records. Now, if that child's 18 and does not want mom and dad involved in the mental health records, I get it. But as long as you're under my roof and and you're a minor and I am in charge of your health, I'm in charge of your physical health. The left, they'll always say, "Oh, mental health, it's like physical health, it's a mental disease, and it shouldn't be it shouldn't be stigmatized." Um, and there's this negative stigma around mental health, right? The left will always say that, but that's so funny because they're treating mental health different than physical health. So if I'm a parent and I don't know, um, put peanut butter in my kid's lunch, and I know that my kid has a peanut allergy, and they prove that in the court of law, right? Then I'm going to be held liable for child abuse, okay? Or if I smack my kid and give him a black eye or something, and the school, questions it, and DCFS will be on my ass, okay? So why are parents not in charge of their kids' mental health? Okay, and why are we putting the kids in charge of their own mental health? Well, you don't put the kids in charge of their physical health. Um, we rely on the parents to provide food that keeps us physically healthy, uh, put us in, sports and activities, things like that to keep us physically healthy from, birth to 17, 18. Okay. That's what we do. We rely on the parents for physical health and the health of that child. Why is mental health differently? Why are we giving the kids the reins when it comes to mental health? I thought we were supposed to be treating mental health like it's physical health, and we shouldn't put a negative stigma on it. So I want to get to this story, and we will, with after the Patriot Power plug. Ron DeSantis killed me. They were chanting this, these activists, and this was in Florida. And this deals with mental health. When you've got people so obsessed with their gender identity that their whole world just crumbles around them if society doesn't bend to their preferred gender identity. This is what they say. They say that I'm dead. I'm I'm you're erasing my existence. Like your whole existence is your gender identity. That's really sad. And we should talk about that. You should talk about that with a mental health professional. But anyway, so these activists, they claim that the Florida governor and that the DMV, they're just killing them because this new law. And they actually did a protest where they staged what they call a die-in. So they act dead and they lay down on the ground and they hold up these signs like Ron DeSantis killed me and blah blah blah. And what the law is, it says, hey, you can't change your sex on your driver's license um, to match a preferred sex or match a preferred gender. I hate using that word because it doesn't exist. But the law says, hey, you can't commit fraud. Okay, that's really what this is. It's committing fraud. Um, by changing your license to reflect some sort of made up reality. But yeah, so we're gonna get to that story. I will also be chatting a bit about this Uber Eats again, the story where they were forced to edit a peanut allergy joke from a commercial because um, the peanut allergies whined about it. The people with peanut allergies. This is what happens when you've got a population that is so obsessed with victimhood, and we celebrate victims, victimhood, and yeah, it's bizarre. Um, but they want attention, this advocacy group. It's called Food Allergy Research and Education, and they took offense to an ad where a guy, he ate like a spoonful of peanut butter and he had an peanut allergy, and he broke out in hives and his left eye swelled up, and he had an allergic reaction. And then the line in the commercial is, "Huh, this is peanut butter. It has peanuts in it." And he's like, I'm allergic to peanuts, and it's a joke in the Uber Eats commercial. But the ad was slammed by this nonprofit advocacy group. So we're going to be chatting about that here in just a little bit. But first, we'll meet with Mike Coolidge for Patriot Power Plug. A few of your comments. Yeah, I don't understand Dan's comment here at all. Uh, let's see. There's never enough leftist liberal lunatics. Yeah. Um, peanut allergies from vaccines. Nice one, John. All right, we're back now.
Your hometown conservative talk show that examines today's stories through a brand new lens. This is the Morning Buzz, brought to you by McLean County Asphalt. They've been repairing driveways for more than 50 years.
Mhm.
The Morning Buzz with Peterson on Cities 92.9.
Good morning. This is the Morning Buzz. I so do appreciate you tuning in each and every day, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Coming up about 7:30, we're going to talk about the Ron DeSantis killed me crowd. Okay, they're activists. They're claiming that the Florida governor and the DMV, that they're erasing their existence, and that they're literally killing them. That the Florida governor and the DMV are killing them over this new law against changing your gender on your driver's license. Okay, you can't change it to reflect some sort of made up reality in your head. And they staged what was called, these activists, they staged a so-called die-in. So they pretended to be dead in multiple offices around the or DMVs around the state. So we're going to talk about that here coming up in just a little bit. But first, my favorite. Uh, this is really my favorite feature on the Morning Buzz. It's the Patriot Power Plug with Mike Coolidge. Mike Coolidge,
Aw,
how are you? Where?
I'm
Uh,
terrible. I'm absolutely terrible because
well,
we heard the news that you did announce it before last hour, right?
yes,
Okay,
yeah,
so I'm not
yep.
spoiling anything here. That you're leaving the airwaves. You're leaving
I
Morning Buzz.
know.
It's so sad. I ran
I
into
know.
a woman this weekend, Carol in Streeter. Little shout out there. Who I was checking into a Republican Party event, LaSalle County's Republican Lincoln Day dinner, and she said, "I listen to you on Morning Buzz every Tuesday. You're Mike Coolidge. I love that Cat Peterson." And I said, "Yeah, I have some bad news," and I said it, but I love this too. It's the highlight of my week, Kat. We're gonna miss you extremely. However, we know that you're off to different things, and I know we've not heard the last from you on the radio in the world. I'm gonna say so. I'm excited about what the future holds for you, but I'm sad for all of your listeners who won't be hearing you every morning.
Yeah, yeah, I am sad, but I'm excited because there's so much work to be done, and I can't wait to get started. But
Yes.
there's also some things I want people to know about when it comes to Citizen Farmers because they're doing the work. So you are the executive director of Citizen Farmers. You're the Ogle County GOP chairman. You're also a
Yes.
former congressional candidate and former Army officer and a former syndicated radio show host yourself.
Yes.
Uh, wow, I'm going to be a former, not syndicated, former radio show host. That's weird.
Yeah. Pretty soon.
But tell us about Citizen Farmers and the work you're doing there and what they do.
Yes. Citizen Farmers helps fund grassroots local organizations that are doing things that the left does better than the right, as far as getting people out to vote, getting people registered to vote, and winning elections. I described it this way to someone who we recently accepted as a member of Citizen Farmers. We're like a bunch of mini George Soroses. Okay, decentralized George Soroses. There's a max. We're not collecting, hundreds of thousands of dollars from individuals. We're collecting a small amount of people. In fact, a capped amount. And I'll even say it's $5,000. That's the capped amount that you can give yearly to Citizen Farmers. You can't give any more. But we have that spread out throughout the state of people who want to change things at the ballot box, locally, statewide, and yes, nationally. And we help make that happen. And I'm extremely excited about it. I feel like, and I loved hosting a radio show for 15 years. It's extremely rewarding. I love the connection with listeners. And Kat, I hate to break it to you, but you are going to miss it. You're not gonna miss waking up super early like you did, but you're gonna miss the connection with listeners and talk about issues every day. But one of the things I've loved about my post radio life is that, I ran for Congress, I didn't win, but at least I was advancing or attempting to advance things I believed in a concrete way. If I were to win the race and then pass legislation and get rid of stupid legislation that furthers conservatism, that furthers things that we believe in and our values, here with Citizen Farmers, I'm doing something that is doing that in a broader way, not an individual candidate way. And it's very fulfilling. And we have a lot of work to do this year. Of course, we got the primary coming up and then the national election, this fall. And then 2026, we have both a U.S. Senate and a governorship open here in Illinois, that it is not far-fetched at all that we can get a good conservative possibly winning a statewide election in Illinois. It's not that far-fetched if we just get out our vote. Anyway, I could talk about this forever. I know this this segment isn't long, but thanks for allowing me to put that out there, Kat.
Yeah, no, and I think it's important, and I think you're right. 2026, I think we could get a conservative governor in there.
Yes.
People are
Or
fleeing
U.S. Senator.
Chicago. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Who's opening up? Is it?
Well, Durbin, if Durbin's 82 years old, if he doesn't run for re-election, and all indicate he's only raised like $100,000, which is pennies in a U.S. Senate race, a lot of people are saying he's not going to run for re-election. He's 82 years old, so it's going to be an open Senate seat. So you're going to have a bunch of Democrats, obviously, thinking that they can just walk into that. And there's not a lot of, they don't have a big bench here in Illinois, Democrats. There's not unless Jelly Belly, the big guy, J.B. Pritzker decides to run for U.S. Senate, which is not that far-fetched. He might do that. He could also run for a third term. We don't have term limits for the governorship here in Illinois. So it's not that far-fetched that Pritzker runs again for governor. But I think he's getting bored. And I think, of course, he wants to run for president. So we might have an open governorship. And there's no bench for the Democrats in that either. But there's a lot of solid candidates, I think, who could win a statewide election in Illinois, and yes, who are conservative, believe it or not. A real quick stat I heard the other day that even in the in the city race in Chicago, which obviously we didn't have a Republican running, but we had a non-Marxist communist running, okay? And 100,000 Republicans stayed home in the city of Chicago, but that Brandon Johnson character only won by 15,000 votes. So if just a third of the Republicans voted against the Brandon Johnson guy in the city of Chicago, we wouldn't have the People's Republic of Chicago, the greatest city in the Midwest and really in the country, I think, or what it used to be anyway, being run by a Marxist. So we just need to get out our voters. That's so crucially important. And we're going to try to do that this year and in 2026.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think it's far-fetched that Governor J.B. Pritzker come 2026, he's already got a bill out there signed that he is the tyrant in rule or in charge of Illinois, and he says, "Nope,
Yep.
we've changed it. It's a monarchy. I'm the king, and I'm the king of Illinois." I
Look
do
how
want to
long
talk.
he kept on the emergencies, the emergency declarations. That is about power. He just kept extending them. So, yes, a third term of him would be a dictatorship in Illinois more than it is already.
Yeah. I do want to talk about this. I haven't heard about this really. So it's a Ukraine Senate bill,
Yeah.
and it needs to die in the House, like you say, and it's a poison pill for another Trump impeachment. Tell me about this Senate bill.
Yes, this happened literally hours ago, Kat. I don't blame you for not knowing because they pulled an all-nighter to pass this atrocity in the Senate. $85 billion, I think it is. Or no, I'm sorry, $95 billion. Yet another $billion, not just to fund Ukraine's war, but of course their pensions and all this other stuff that U.S. taxpayers are going to be on the hook for. But J.D. Vance, senator from Ohio, probably one of my favorite U.S. senators, if not my favorite, said that, he's a U.S. senator, so obviously he's reading this bill just hours ago. He says, it says in here that it's not just for this coming year, it's for 2025 and 2026. So
Mhm.
if we were to get, I don't know, President Trump reelected this fall, and he's sworn in as president in 95. I mean, sorry, in 2025, and he decides, actually, we want a peace deal here, and let's end this war, Russia and Ukraine, and he could probably broker that. That could be argued that that's an impeachable offense because he's breaking the law that the Senate is trying to pass right now, which means we have to give Ukraine all this money. So, look up
Uh,
JD Vance's tweet or X, his post on X recently about this. And I believe and trust him. And if he says that
mhm.
this is a poison pill for an impeachment, I think he's probably right.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's like, wait a second. We want to enshrine in law, enshrine that hey, we have to continue to always give money to Ukraine. This is
Yeah, for another 2 or 3 years. They're just trying to it's the opposite of kick the can down the road. They're like, "Yeah, well, let's do this so we don't have to vote on it with the new Congress and the new Senate and the new president next time. Let's just blank checks forever. No, thank you."
blank checks forever. Yeah, and why don't we just make them a 51st state, right? I mean, at
Yeah.
this point, it's like, come on, Ukraine, just come on over. I do want to talk about Biden's age. 86% of voters was the stat where
Yep.
they say that he's too old.
86%. I mean, you can't get Americans to agree on 86% of anything, you
Mhm.
know? And 86% of Americans, that's Democrats included, obviously, who say, yeah, he's too old. And they're talking about like right now, like finishing out his term. He's only got less than a year left, fingers crossed, in his term as president. And like you can just see and hear he had an opportunity to speak to 120 million people, every voter in America, basically at the Super Bowl. Presidents never turn that down. And he turned it down because he's afraid of what he's going to sound and look like. That press conference he gave last week was the most embarrassing thing I've seen a president give maybe ever, as far as showing his brain to the world and just displaying that this guy is so. I mean, I know it's a cliche, but it's literally true. The guy has the nuclear football next to him at all times. He has that they always use that cliche because it's true. The amount of power the president has, the amount of power the president has is so monumentally huge. He has he's commander in chief of the most powerful military on the planet and has all of these executive uh, uh, authority, shutting down the border, which he could do today if he wanted to, but he's not. And these crises that we have, he's not responding to. He has terrible judgment. He's always had terrible judgment, by the way, even before he has lost his faculties. But now he is showing it every time he gets to the podium.
Mhm.
And I mean, this is our president of our country. Like
Mhm.
and then Kamala Harris obviously is not senile, but not smart in any way, shape, or form, or capable or competent. So it's like he goes away, and then we have her. It's just an absolute
She's been
mess.
out there saying recently that she's ready to serve. Did you see this where she was interviewed and she goes, "Yeah, if it came down to it, I'd be ready to serve."
Yeah.
And
What
like,
else is she gonna
whoa!
say? What else is she gonna say? Oh, time out. Let me prepare. I let me do some training a little bit here. I'm not quite ready, Biden. So don't have anything happen to you before. Oh, yeah, of course she's gonna
I
say
want
that. It's hubris
I want to talk
and
about this
bravado.
this quote from Governor JB Pritzker. I think you're going to like this. Joe Biden Well, this is Mary Miller. She says Joe Biden is not competent to remain as commander in chief, and every day that he remains in office, he puts America's national security at risk. If Biden won't resign, the cabinet members must invoke the 25th Amendment. And she also urged Governor J.B. Pritzker to really ask Joe Biden to resign from office. Uh, or this, and I love this, what Mary Miller does. She says, or disqualify himself from ever holding a higher office if he stays silent. She said national security is at stake, and if he remains silent on this, he is jeopardizing our national security. Governor J.B. Pritzker is. So, Governor J.B. Pritzker, he says, I smell a rat. And he says that this about the special counsel, because they said
Right.
that, hey, when you charge somebody or you're investigating them, you have to keep your personal opinions about their capabilities out of it, which is ridiculous. And he said it was unfair. And he goes, I smell a rat, which I mean, JB might be right. There was a Politico article, very interesting, that said that Joe Biden should go out there more amidst all this heated debate about his mental health. He should go out there more in public. He should engage in voters off script, with voters off script. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yes.
Is the
Please do
Democrat?
that.
Yeah, I think that
Yes.
there might actually be a rat because I mean, you got top Democrat operatives are saying that he should go out and keep doing press conferences and do it more. And they're urging Biden aides to do that.
Yeah.
So
So those political operatives who call themselves Democrats who are telling Biden to do that, if they are sincere and they really believe that, they're stupid. They're bad political consultants that should not be listened to, because me as a conservative Republican want him to be out there more often, do the press conferences, do the interviews, do live ones. Especially we want to see you not be able to finish a thought or finish any sort of sentence that you begin and talk about extremely important things. No, the problem with so much of the speculation about Biden being replaced is that people don't realize or don't remember that Biden is actually the president, and he can have 18 people he can have Barack Obama saying, Joe, you need to resign. He's no, he's going to, I'm not resigning. And he has the power not to resign. And as far as the 25th Amendment goes, that requires the cabinet and, yes, the vice president to all agree in, I think it's 2/3 majority or something of cabinet people to say, this guy's senile, he needs to go. That's not going to happen either. So I'm happy about it. I'm happy that Biden is sticking around, because that means that Trump is going to beat him, even with independents and women who probably are like, I don't really love Trump. But then when you see them together, Biden versus Trump, Trump's going to win more of them. And then every single Republican needs to get out and vote. And Trump will be back in the White House in January. So, yes, go Biden, go. As far as media and press goes, that's what I say. We want to see more of you.
Whenever I think of Joe Biden and doing like live things, so there's only been a handful of times where he's addressed the nation. There was this one time where he addressed the nation over Islamophobia, and he used that story here out of Illinois, where that Islam boy died, 6-year-old, I think it was, and he
Yes.
addressed the nation. There was this god awful jump cut. It was terrible. Like they were live, but they said it was live and they went live and it
Right.
like looked live and they
Yeah.
said, "Oh, the president addressed the nation live."
Yeah.
But it
It was a
wasn't
live
live.
stream. Yeah. If it was a live stream, then let the camera networks run it live. Don't give us some stream on the internet that you say is live that's completely controlled by the White House. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but you could see that it wasn't live because there was this, I don't know who was editing, but it was like this terrible jump cut.
Yeah.
You
They're like,
remember this.
take 17, Mr. President. Take 18, Mr. President. Take 19. Yeah.
I mean, okay, so let me ask you this before we go. What percentage of like pudding brain does Joe Biden have at this point? Because I've been slightly increasing over the course of, this last year. I'm at 69%. What about you?
I mean, I do feel bad for anyone who's getting that upwards in age, but I feel worse for the constituency, meaning the American citizens who he ultimately answers to and is responsible for if something happens to us, because he makes a terrible decision. But if you have a gun to my head, Cat, and you say I got to give a number, I'm going to go with the 86% number. The 86% of Americans who say that he is too old to be president.
Yes. All right, Mike Coolidge, you have a great rest of your day. I appreciate you joining me here on the Morning Buzz.
Pat,
And
thank you so much about everything you've done. You're a great radio host. We're gonna miss you so much. Thank you so much for having me on every week. I absolutely loved it. And but I know we've not seen the last of Kat Peterson.
Yes, and tell us where to find out more about Citizen Farmers.
Citizen-farmers.com, or go to find me on Twitter. Coolidge is spelled with a K, Koolidge on X. And you'll see more about Citizen Farmers there. But we have some updates we're going to do soon, and you'll hear more about us. But just follow me on X, Coolidge with a K, and you'll get more updates there.
God bless, my friend. You have a great rest of your day.
God bless, Kat.
All right, folks, we're going to be back Woo! Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. Yes, I have a lot of folks messaging me and thanking me, and I love all your text messages. I so do appreciate um, all that you guys have done for me and helping me grow as a radio host. I've been doing this for a few years. I was really rusty when I first came on. I think I've kind of understand now how to at least show prep and bring those stories to the air. But, where are you going? Where are you going? All I can say right now is that I'm going into journalism. I went to school for journalism at Illinois State University, and this is my dream job. And you will know very, very soon where I'm going. You can always look me up. It's Katrina Peterson. That's my Facebook page. You're welcome to look me up on Facebook, Katrina Peterson, Catrina. You can also look me up on Twitter. That's Katrina M Peters one. That's my real name. You guys know my real name's Katrina. I just go by Kat on air. But you guys can look that up and find out, what I'll be doing. Yeah, the best place to get a hold of me is Facebook or Twitter. You can DM me and ask me, hey, what's up with this bill? What's up with this news story? And I'll try to answer it. But all I can say is that I'm going into journalism. Um, and I'm very excited. Um, and we will have a new program in the mornings. Hugh Hewitt. He is a syndicated radio host. He's fantastic. He's 450 affiliates. He's one of the best. Conservative. He had this explosive interview with Donald Trump just before Christmas, and I thought it was great. Plus, we're going to have Tom's 10 at 7:19 a.m. every single morning, where you get your hyperfixate. I mean, he's just going to be hyper fixated on local stuff. That's Tom Davis, and he knows Bloomington Normal better than I do. That's for sure when it comes to local news, local politics, things like that. So you're going to be in good hands. It was a tough decision. And I love you guys, and thank you for tuning in. I really do appreciate the listener. There's nothing quite like the bond between a host and a listener, right? But I do want to get to this good news story. We still got news to cover today, folks. So uh, tomorrow will be my last show. We'll do some call ins if you guys want to talk about the news of the day. We're going to do a little bit different. I've got a couple of guests, and we will do some call ins if you guys want to talk about the news or talk about anything that's going on in your local area. I do want to get to this story because it's a good news story and it makes me feel, like a just feel good story, right? It makes me feel good. And sometimes you need some good news, right? The news is rough, and we're going to get to something here in just a little bit where these people were actually staging what's called a die in, and it was in Florida, and it was a bunch of trans activists. So that story in just a bit. But this story, Julia Griffin, she's a senior at Prattville High School in Alabama. During her summer vacation, she started a charity called Youth Wellness Foundation. Aw. The mission is promoting mental, physical, emotional wellness in schools and in communities. Okay. So she donated $2,500 to get the organization up and running to improve the access her classmates had to mental health and wellness resources. So the donation will help the school provide youth mental health first aid courses. Okay, so that's at Prattville High School with teachers and counselors. These classes are designed to give educators the skills and tools to support students facing mental health challenges or issues or substance abuse. After graduating, Julia plans to expand the organization, and she's eager to and work toward more ambitious goals. She's got these big goals, and she says this quote. I've always loved psychology and especially mental health. I've seen struggles that a lot of people here go through between classmates and friends, and I just knew I had to do something. So she had a call. She felt led by the Holy Spirit to do something. Um, obviously, and she's doing it and she's excited. She says, quote, "I'm excited about this contribution and what it's going to do." So she got it all together during her summer vacation. She's a senior in high school, so to um, during her summer vacation, she actually started this charity. So I don't know many seniors in high school who, work and they get the $2,500 to work and get this organization up and running. And I don't know too many kids that would do this for other people. I mean, this isn't an organization for pets. It's not an organization for, herself. It's for the mental health of her classmates and friends. So I thought this was a very nice story. High school student creating a mental health charity. So that's really nice. All right, we're going to come back talking about mental health. These people are insane and need help. I wish that they would get the help they need. But they think that they are a totally different gender than what they are. They want to go by a preferred gender and they want their license ID to reflect their preferred gender, this reality that doesn't exist. So these activists, they're claiming now that Governor Ron DeSantis and the DMVs, they're literally killing them with this new law that says, "Hey, you can't manipulate, you can't commit fraud on on your driver's license." Uh, so we're going to chat about that story here next on the Morning Buzz, Cities 92.9. Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. I so do appreciate you tuning in. If you're watching, go ahead and smash that like button. We're going to be coming back and we're going to talk a little bit about this story out of Florida where they staged what's called a die-in. We're also going to talk about an Uber's Eats commercial that was at the it aired on the Super Bowl during the Super Bowl, and the people with peanut allergies got really upset about this commercial. So we're going to talk about it here on the Buzz because they're a bunch of snowflakes. That's next. Hey, good morning. This is the Morning Buzz. Yes, we will be talking about Planned Parenthood today. If you haven't aborted them, you should ask your 1-year-old what gender they prefer. What's their preferred gender? If they're one, you can ask them, "Hey, are you a boy or girl?" And whatever their response is, you have to accept that as a parent. Yes, from Planned Parenthood, they said this. And, and I immediately after hearing this story, I was thinking to myself, they can't get the kid if they can't abort them, if they can't kill them in the womb. Then when they're out of the womb, they're going to make sure that that kid winds up killing himself or herself. And statistically, that's just if the kid is trans, the likelihood of that kid making it not very high. And I'm just being honest. I mean, I I'm just going to say that that's the truth. And then we've also got to talk about this story. Uber's Eats, they were forced to edit a commercial of theirs because the people with peanut allergies whined about it. Yes, all of that and more ahead on the Morning Buzz. But there's one story I want to get to right now. When your entire worldview is based on society affirming your self described identity, you end up with a story like this one. Their entire worldview, transgender individuals, activists, it it is based on society affirming your self described identity. And when that worldview is rocked a little bit, their entire existence just crumbles. I mean, they just can't. They can't they can't bear it. And this is the story. Transgender activists in Florida, they staged a die-in. Well, Kat, what's a die-in? I've never heard that. Yeah, well, several DMVs in they showed up and they were laying down like they were dead in protest of a new regulation that prevents people from changing their gender on their driver's license. Uh, and they're incredibly fragile. These people are so fragile that their entire self-worth crumbles when society refuses to condone these lies, and they pretend that the state of Florida is trying to erase their existence because they refuse to go along with this lie. They refuse to let you commit fraud on your driver's license. Okay, but clearly we're not dealing with mentally competent people because they're so dumb that they think a staged die-in is actually going to remotely benefit their woke cause. I don't know how a staged die-in is going to help your cause. You obviously want to change this law where it prevents people from changing their gender on their license. Staging die-ins, I don't think that that's going to do much. So here's the news. Fox News has it. Dozens of people showed up on Friday morning draped in transgender flags and orange road safe vests, and they laid in the lobbies and offices at DMVs uh, in Miami, Orlando, Tampa, Jacksonville, Tallahassee. And these groups, they organized it's PRISM, Youth Action Fund, Equality Florida, Hope Community Center, and there were other organizations, nonprofit organizations that kind of worked together to stage these die-ins. But quote, this is from the press release from PRISM. This is one of these transgender activist organizations. They said participants will stage die-ins to underscore the devastating consequences of efforts to erase the transgender community's legal recognition. Activists, they staged protest after a recent decision to bar transgender residents from being allowed to change the gender on their driver's license or state identification. The Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles Deputy executive director, Robert Nook, he wrote a memo to the county tax collectors, and he said that, hey, misrepresenting somebody's gender or understood sex um, on a driver's license actually is fraud. This is what he said in a letter to constituents or to these tax collectors. Um, and he said people with licenses that misrepresent their biological gender could be subject to, quote, criminal and civil penalties, including cancellation, suspension, and we could revoke your license. And he said this should be considered fraud. Yes, it should be considered fraud. No one should be allowed to forge a government document and get away with it. Okay, you're forging a government document with lies, and you can't get away with that. Clearly, they don't want equal rights; they want special rights. Okay, and it's narcissistic. It's so narcissistic. Um, they try and gaslight the masses by claiming that they're literally going to die if they don't get their way. Think about that. I mean, these die-ins, they're saying that they're going to die if they don't get their way about the driver's licenses. That's because these people feel an extreme amount of shame for who they are, and that's why they need their feelings affirmed. They need their feelings affirmed. These people deny reality and try to put a mask on disguise themselves. They put on a mask to disguise themselves, but this adds up to nothing more than a bunch of insane lies. And the last thing society should do, if people want to be compassionate, is condone any of this. Okay, I'm not. If I'm compassion is not affirming your lies and affirming your feelings if they're just not true. Okay, you wouldn't tell an anorexic person that she's fat. Okay, she believes and she feels that she's fat, uh, but you're not going to tell her that, right? I mean, of course not. It's baffling that some states even allow people to change their gender on their driver's license. I got to double check. I think Illinois allows you to, but you can't change your license based on a feeling. This is a government document, and you're committing fraud if you forge and if you lie on that government document. Hey, but at least Florida is not one of those states, and good for them. They passed this law. So I'm back next on the Morning Buzz, Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. No. Just stop. No. No. No, this can't be happening. Okay, so this is the best way I can explain it. You know how you take a shot at the bar and then you got to chase it down with some like Coke or Pepsi or, maybe some orange juice. I don't know, whatever you're. Let me know in the comments or on the text line 309-451-9299. What's your favorite chaser? I do shot of Jack and I chase it down with a like swig of Coke. I'm not super into pop, so I like drinking Jack and Coke, but I'm not much of a Coke person. So it's mainly just Jack, and then I like take a swig of Coke right behind it. But so here's the shot. Okay, new polling could potentially serve as a major warning sign for Democrats who have, according to polling, lost ground among some of their traditionally stronger support groups like Black and Hispanic voters, where their traditional advantage with those voters, it's all at record lows. Okay, so new polling, it's serving as a major warning sign for these Democrats. They are losing support amidst Black voters and Hispanic voters. Now that's the shot. Are you ready for the chaser? Uh, I've got to share this with you. And I can't believe Biden's aides actually approved this video. You guys can watch it on the stream. I am going to play the audio here. Either way, it's good. Let's take a listen.
Well, I mean, you got chicken fingers, you got the whole deal. I want the root of making sure I had the hamburger. So tell me about you guys. What you doing these days?
Why don't you share about your passion of sports?
I'm playing AAU basketball right now.
Are you really? Are you guard?
Yes, sir.
Now, what grade are you in?
7th grade.
7th grade.
Right now, I'm just doing basketball, point guard on the JV team for my school.
How about in school? How y'all doing in school? You should tell the president about the school.
Favorite thing about it is the business academy I'm in. We get to like travel, so we've been to like NC State, Wake Tech, and
You're kidding me.
we went to this small dry cleaning business, and it's cool. It's a great experience.
I'm impressed. Is that a new program at the school?
Yes, sir, it is. It just started just a couple of years ago.
You know how much this guy loves you. You can just feel it, can't you?
Yes, sir.
Your dad jumped in front of a bull for you. By the way, we dads are hard to raise. Once you're a teenager, we're hard to raise. So you gotta be patient with us, you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
A little patient.
So that was a video that was approved by Joe Biden's aides. Yes, this actually happened. Okay, so this is a video where they are trying to combat this losing Black voter support, and in order to combat this, what they're doing is they are having Joe Biden eat chicken and talk basketball with some Black teens and their Black father. Incredible. Incredible. I'll be back next. That's gonna be the most racist thing I've ever seen in my life. What? I can't believe it. I can't believe that they actually approved that. Incredible. So this is the same president who got out there and he said, if you ain't voting for me, then you ain't Black. Okay, we know that. Joe Biden, through the course of his presidency, he has said that Black Americans can't hire lawyers, they can't use the internet. And he has the least amount of Black support that any Democrat has had since 1999. And did I mention that Joe Biden also thinks that Black Americans are more likely to vote the way Democrats tell them to than Hispanics are? So that's what he thinks. He thinks that Black Americans are more likely to vote the way Democrats tell them to vote than Hispanics are. And I've got the clip there. I've got another clip that I have to share with you where he says that Black people aren't capable of paying for the extra leg room that you pay for on the plane. It's quite incredible. I mean, Team Biden's response to the dwindling poll numbers with the Black voters is chicken and basketball. What? I would have loved to be in the campaign meeting where this idea was pitched. I would be rolling on the floor, laughing my ass off. This is hilarious. I just can't believe it. Um, Wowza. So we're gonna be back. Pander, 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 pander. Yeah. Well, racist, 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 racist. Like, have we ever heard like, isn't the left the one that always says like, "Hey, stereotypes are bad"? Here they are, like, like they're out there pushing every stereotype known to man when it comes to this video about black people that they like chicken and basketball. Like that's so stereotypical. It's wild. Yes, you have a lot to look forward to here in the 8 o'clock hour because we are going to be talking about how the Democrats, their response to losing the black voter support, they have Joe Biden sit down and eat fried chicken and talk basketball with a few black people. And I mean, wow. I would have loved to be. It would have been awesome to be in this campaign meeting where this idea was pitched. Team Biden's response to the dwindling poll numbers with black voters is chicken and basketball. Incredible. We're going to be chatting a little bit about that, but I'm so excited because it's my favorite time of the day. It's Tax Tip Tuesday with Rick Johnson from Tax and Accounting Plus. Tax Tip Tuesday. He's a guy who lives and breathes taxes. And I mean, what kind of guy? He gets excited about exemptions, credits, deductions. Now I get it. He's no center stage at a cocktail party, but Rick is definitely in his element at Tax and Accounting Plus, and I'm excited to have him on. Rick Johnson from Tax and Accounting Plus. We need another tip, and this is actually, folks, our last Tax Tip Tuesday together, Rick and I. But I want to make it clear that tax tips are not going away on Tuesdays. They will not be at 8:06 a.m. on Cities 92.9. They will be at 7:19 a.m. And Tom Davis will be working with Rick on those tax tips during 7:19, the 7:19 time slot. So, Rick, this is sad. It's bitter. It's bittersweet. I'm excited, but I'm also sad. Are you there, Rick?
Yes, I'm here. You're just kind of going in and out a little bit, but
Hold on. Let me get closer to my microphone here. Better?
yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, so our last Tax Tip Tuesday, bittersweet, but what's the tip today?
All right. Well, the first one's going to be about teachers' deduction. And let me just say that if I start crying and everything because you're leaving, it's going to be real. But we'll talk about that in just a little more in a minute. But first tax tip today is about a teacher's deduction. Okay. First, let me make the comment that I believe that teachers and nurses are way underpaid and that they need to be paid more, and we need to show appreciation to them because of all the work that they do in dealing with our children. And I know the teachers that dealt with my children, they deserve definitely an extra pay raise. But anyway, back to the teacher deduction. The IRS has given teachers a small deduction. It's not a credit, it's a deduction. So if you, with this deduction, if you are in the 12% bracket, then you get to pay 12% off of every dollar. If you're in the 22% bracket, of course, that's then 22% of every dollar. Now, to qualify, elementary and secondary school teachers are allowed a $300 deduction for their classroom expenses. All right. Now, that's up to a maximum of $600, and that would be $300 a piece if you were married and both of you were teachers. However, neither spouse can deduct more than the $300 on their tax return. So if one spouse has $450 and the other spouse has $150, you get $300 and $150. Okay, but I'm sure you guys can work it out if you're in the same household. Eligible educators include kindergarten through grade 12, teachers, instructors, counselors, principals, or aides in school, and they must have been at least putting in 900 hours a year in their teaching or at the school. Qualified expenses will include books, supplies, equipment, and that includes computer equipment and software, and any other materials used in the classroom. And then remember, on March 12th of 2020, educator expenses now include the cost of personal protective equipment, disinfectants, and other supplies used for the prevention and the spread of COVID. If you are reimbursed for these expenses, you can't deduct them. The expenses must come out of your pocket, okay? And that is the teacher's annual teacher's exclusion, because you get that every year. Last for today is we're going to throw in the gift exclusion. All right, the gift exclusion. Keep in mind that if you want to give money away or items away and things of that nature, that there's a certain amount that you can give each year that is excluded from your income. Okay, and if there ever would be any gift tax involved, then that would always be paid by the giver or donor and not the receiver or the donee. All right. Now, we're going to talk a little more about gift tax next week, but the exclusion today is that in 23 you could give 17,000 annually each year to each individual, and for 24 that's going to be 18,000. So if you want to give money away to your children or to anyone else, you can give 18,000 a year individually to each child, or to each person. So let's just say you had 3 children, you could give $18,000 to each child and not have to worry about filing any forms or paying any taxes at all. And if you have a spouse, she could give $18,000 to each of your children. So they could actually get $36,000 apiece each year, again, filing no forms and not worrying about any tax. Now, on behalf of your children, I'm sure that they would feel very fortunate if you would give them even $18,000 a year. So keep that in mind. And like I said, we'll talk a little bit more about that next week. Last but not least, I know Kat shared with everyone that she will not be around any longer, and that does make my heart sad. But I would like to give everyone an encouragement that if they would go on Cities 92.9 in social media, anything, the website, Facebook, anything of that nature, and give a shout out to Kat, give a like, say something about, say something nice to her would be good.
Some people will not, Rick Johnson. Talk about some controversial things.
Yes, there you go. But if there is a story that they liked, that really touched them or something, or that they really connected with you on, mention that in the post. And if anybody really wants to go a little crazy, deliver a flower or two to her for Valentine's Day. So that would be pretty cool. Yeah. So anyway, that's my Tax Tip Tuesday, and I just want you to know that we appreciate you, and we thank you, Kat. We love you very much, and we pray that you will have a wonderful career in your new job.
Oh, thank you so much, Rick Johnson, and we love you at Tax and Accounting Plus. They are the best. They are the best in the biz, folks, and Rick Johnson is not going anywhere. He's going to be on at 7:19 a.m. with Tom Davis for Tax Tip Tuesday for Tom's 10 minutes within the Hugh Hewitt program. So Rick's not going anywhere. And I appreciate all the tips, Rick. They were very helpful. So you have a great rest of your day. And tell us where we can find out more about Tax and Accounting Plus and how we can get a hold of you if we've got questions.
Okay. Well, we are located at 501 North Clinton, right here in Bloomington, Illinois. Our phone number is 309-827-4010. And I would say that we love to answer questions. I know the staff don't like it when I say that, but hey, if you got a question, call and we'll take care of that. You can also find us on the web at taxaccountingplus.com.
Awesome. And happy Valentine's Day.
Yes, you too, Kat. I know you got a special one here for this year, but
Yep.
good.
Yep. I got the hubby to be. All right. I'll talk to you later, Rick. Thanks so much. Bye-bye. Folks, we are going to get to this story here. Like I said, Tax and Accounting Plus, they are the best. It's taxandaccountingplus.com. You can find every Tax Tip Tuesday. So if you miss a tax tip, you can head to cities929.com and find the podcasted version of it. But they are going to be at 7:19 a.m. from now on, as I will be leaving after tomorrow. So tomorrow will be my last show. I thank you. I love you guys. You know that. And it was just an opportunity that fell in my lap, and I couldn't say no. That was just the way the Lord was leading me. And I said, okay, I'll do it. Whatever you say, God, it's your plan, not mine. So we got to talk about Joe Biden. So I got to talk about this fried chicken thing because I'm still on it. Their response to this dwindling, I can't even say it with a straight face, to this dwindling poll numbers amidst Black voters because they are done voting for Democrats because they realize that their communities are stuck and that Democrats aren't doing anything about it. There's crime, there's rampant crime. Really, at the heart of the issue, what's really affecting the Black community, I believe, is fatherless homes. People want to ignore that, but that's why you see that the crime rate amidst Black Americans it's so high, and the incarceration rate is high. But no, the Democrats don't want to talk about that. No, 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 no. They don't want to talk about the fatherless homes. Their response to this dwindling poll numbers with black voters is this video where Joe Biden gets up there, and he's with a couple of kids and his father, and their father, and he's eating fried chicken and talking about basketball. I'd love to be in that campaign meeting where this idea was pitched. Now, something you need to know about Joe Biden: he says that Black Americans can't hire lawyers. He says that Black Americans cannot use the internet. Um, Unlike the Biden White House staff who greenlit this video, they definitely use the internet because they put it up. They greenlit this video and they put it out there on the internet. He also said, and I want to share this clip. He also said something about airlines and how Black people, marginalized Americans, it's hard for people of color to get extra leg room on planes. Don't believe me? I got the clip right here. Here we go. If I can find it. Here we go. Yep, this is it. Here we
Inches between you and the seat in front, you pay more money. But you don't know it until you purchase your ticket. Look, folks, these are junk fees. They're unfair and they hit marginalized Americans the hardest, especially low-income folks and people of color. They benefit big corporations, not consumers. Decision. Some airlines, if you want six more inches between you and the seat in front, you pay more money.
He doesn't think that Black people can purchase the extra leg room on an airline. Okay, he doesn't think that they can do that. They need his help. Okay, so the least amount of Black voter support that any Democrat has had since 1999, that's Joe Biden. And did I mention that Joe Biden, he actually thinks that Black Americans are more likely to vote the way Democrats tell them to vote than Hispanics are? And this seems relevant, so I'm going to share this clip. He actually says, oh, we can get Black people. Democrats can get Black people to vote for us. They're easier than the Hispanics. No, really, that's what he said. Here we go.
Most people don't know, unlike the African American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community with incredibly different attitudes about different things. Yes, and by the way,
oh, Joe Biden, Joe Biden. So yes, somebody actually approved this. I mean, what was the campaign meeting like? The campaign manager, we will have Jill Biden on Operation Taco to deal with the Hispanics. Remember that clip where she goes out, I love tacos. Now what are we going to do with the Blacks? What are we going to do with the Black vote? We're losing the Black vote. Staffer 1, he shouts out, hey, what if we send Biden to a Black family's house and then he can eat fried chicken and talk to them about basketball? And then another staffer kind of says, hey, doesn't that sound like, I don't know, like racist? And then the campaign manager, of course not. We're Democrats. Go find us a Black family. Then the staffer's like, should we put some watermelon in there and some purple drink too? The campaign video says, the manager says, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a second. Let's do this video first, and then we'll come out with the video where they're all eating watermelon on the back porch and drinking purple Kool-Aid. Yeah, I mean, this is just disgusting. It's very racist. And what happened to like crushing stereotypes? You're having Joe Biden sit there and eat fried chicken and talk about basketball with Black people. It's insanity. But this is posted on the official Biden X account, campaign account. So this was conceived, it was filmed, it was edited, it was posted without a single person saying, quote, maybe we shouldn't. Hey, those were the 3 words that we needed. Maybe we shouldn't do this. Okay, maybe we shouldn't. Oh gosh, because even if you take away the obvious pandering, the video is awkward. Joe Biden comes off as very unnatural and inauthentic. When you watch the video, his eyes are like popping out of his skull. And this is key. Joe Biden is unnatural and he is unauthentic. Uh, there's the Joe Biden narrative that the left and the media, but I repeat myself, have cooked up for decades, and that there is no. They try to say that there is an actual Joe Biden the American people see, and he's really he's not Joe Biden. He's not even like it's not even Joe Biden anymore at this point. He is so like just an old coot. He doesn't know what's going on. It's not even Joe Biden anymore. It's just an elderly man, and this is elder abuse to prop him up there. Like, I just, oh gosh. All right, I do have to take a quick break, but I mean, wow, this was an incredible video, and I can't believe that it even exists. I'm back next. I just can't stand the local news. I really can't. Oh, it's just so awful. So there was like this segment on this local news channel in Rockford, and I was watching it, and I was like, "Wait a second! You've got all these Rockford officials coming out, and they're like, hey, look on the bright side,' and people are upset, and they're saying, 'Hey, there's crime. The economy sucks. I can't afford to live here,' in Rockford, Illinois, and they're like." The local news, they're like, "Look on the bright side. Look on the bright side," and then he says, weaker communities focus on their not their assets, but their flaws. Weaker communities. No, 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 no. Strong communities focus on their flaws and how to get those better and how to make it better. It's incredible. Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. I so do appreciate you tuning in each and every morning. Now, I do have a local story that I wanted to get to this morning. We are going to talk a little bit about this bill. It's an incredible bill, and I can't believe that it exists and nobody's talking about it. But I did a quick story on it. It's a bill that was introduced by a state representative out of Chicago, Cam Buckner. He's a Democrat, and he says that this isn't going to affect a whole lot of cities. It's only going to affect, like, I don't know, 8 cities, which I don't know. When you read the bill, I've got questions, right? I reached out to Cam Buckner to try to ask him, but he did not reply. So he says, if we're serious about affordably housing more people, we should do away with barriers that complicate that. That's what he said on X. This is Cam Buckner. Now, this measure is a single family zoning ban act. And it states that on and after June 1st of 2025, for a zoning unit with a population equal or greater to 100,000 but less than 500,000, so it excludes Cook County, on and after June 1st, 2026, a zoning unit with a population of greater 500,000, so that would be Cook County, they they cannot exclusively zone that area for single family residential use. Okay, there has to be a mix, or it has to be multifamily housing in population zones that are greater than 100,000. So a zoning unit is defined as, and I'm just reading from the bill here, a county, a municipality, or a township. So if they use McLean County, then that is well over 100,000. There's 20 counties in the state of Illinois that have over 100,000 thresholds. But um, Bloomington Normal, if they go the municipality route, which it doesn't really say what route they're going. You can either be a county, a municipality, or a township. Bloomington Normal, obviously separately, has a population jointly of about uh, 168,000, right? But separately, they don't meet the 100,000 population threshold. So I don't know if it's going to apply to Bloomington Normal. It could, because it could apply to McLean County, which is over a population of 100,000. Talked with Charlie Farner from Tentec Enterprises. Love Tentec Enterprises. Love Charlie Farner. He said this, and I love this quote. Quote, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, let our local communities decide what's best for our communities. And he's got all kinds of projects lined up right now, and some of those projects include single family zoning use, right? And he said over um 10 projects that he's got going on. He's a big housing developer, has lots of different projects. You can go check it out on the web, 10TAC. But he says that he doesn't trust that the bill will only apply to these 8 cities. And I got to agree, because look at the language of the bill. Don't listen to what they say. Look at the language of the bill. And Farner, he said he doesn't see anything that would suggest that this potential law would combat high rents or address income inequality. It's supposed to be for affordable housing, but it doesn't really address housing prices uh, rising. It doesn't really address that. So yeah, it's a crazy bill, and really, what this is, it's an attack on the American dream. Will people be able to have the yard, the 2 kids, the dog in the back with the fence? I mean, probably not. Give give it a few years, and we're gonna have more of this. and you will own nothing and you'll be happy. All right, I do have to take a quick break. When we come back, you know him, you love him. Chuck Erickson will join me next.
We on?
Oh,
Cigars with Chuck Erickson.
he's back, folks.
I'm
This-
back.
This is Kat Peterson, and we've been like really down in the cigars in here because this is our last one.
Yeah, this is the last Cigars with Chuck Erickson. Can you believe it? I mean, it's almost been a mainstay. I mean, everybody waits for that Friday after the county board meeting to hear the segment. Well, at least I think they do. Cigars with Chuck Erickson.
Yep, and we're doing it a little early because tomorrow's my last show, but I wanted to have Chuck in. And first, let's talk about the state race, the 88th. How's that going? What are you hearing from constituents on the ground? What are they most concerned about?
I feel good about it. I mean, I think my proven record of voting as a conservative is resonating in the district. I think the fact that I have 12 years of experience working with Democrats, working with Republicans on the McLean County board, and actually voting like a conservative when the rubbers had to meet the road is resonating with constituents. And I think my principles, I mean, it took a lot of courage to introduce a resolution saying no taxpayer dollars for illegal immigration. I've opposed vaccine mandates. I've been a true conservative on the county board, and I intend to take that record and that experience down to Springfield for the hardworking men and women of the 88th district.
I love it. And let me ask you about immigration because
Shut down the border.
shut down the border. Yeah.
Secure the border at
Secure
least,
the
you know.
border.
Because when you get, it's like, oh, you're against immigrants. There's nobody against immigrants.
Yeah.
No one's opposed to legal immigration. They always like to play that game with you. It's like, oh, you just don't want immigrants. It's just like, that's not what the issue is. The issue is illegal immigration is exploitation. It ends up being exploitation. For example, you did a story on the guy who paid a lot of money to get here and ended up on a street corner begging for money. Okay, so you spend a lot of money to get someone to get you across the border, and then you're broke. Or you hear about human trafficking, or you hear just about extortion. Somebody has a family member that's waiting to get across, and they send a message back to their family and said, don't send us some money, or your uncle or father's arm's going to get broke.
Yeah.
I mean, it's extortion. That's why you have legal immigration, to prevent this exploitation of people. It's just wrong, and it needs to stop.
Yeah, and I mean, at that point, if you're begging on a street corner, you're about ready to do anything for money.
Yeah, I mean, you
you're
promise
in a desperate situation.
You promise people things that you could not deliver. I mean, seriously, some of these unfortunate individuals are sleeping in airports, they're sleeping in buses, they're sleeping in police stations.
Mm-hmm. And possibly, so I wanted to ask you about this Hayworth, which I believe is in your district. Is that correct?
136 splits Hayworth in half. So if you're south of 136, you're not in the 88th. You're north of 136, you are in the 88th.
Okay. I don't know where this facility is at, but it's going to affect a part of Hayworth. There are copy paste homes popping up, and some sources have told me that those are for illegal immigrants. It's very odd how these have gone up. It's very odd that you're hearing from Springfield. You're also hearing from officials in Bloomington. I have good authority that people in Bloomington, the new city manager, is all about this multi-family housing trend where we get rid of single-family housing trend.
Right.
And there's a ban out there that's proposed at the state level, and they want to get rid of single-family zoning. Exclusive. You can't zone an area for single family zoning.
That's ridiculous. I mean, people want to, it is. People want to have a house. They want to have a backyard. They want to raise their kids. They want to take their kids out and play baseball with them. They want to go out and do things. I mean, this is so silly. I mean, I can't even believe that would be a proposal. But they want us to all live in high rises. And we can't live in houses, and they just want to control our lives. And then you ask why people don't like Springfield anymore, because you literally want to tell us what we can do, what we can eat, when we can breathe, what we can drive. I mean,
it's tax the sunrise.
I mean, it's just too much.
Yeah, I actually have this amazing.
I heard that Texas, and I think you sent me
it's a song. Yeah, it's a great song.
It is a great song.
I'll pull it up for when we take a quick break. But first, I do want to talk about this transfer. I know that you can't talk much about it, and you can explain why you can't, because that might be helpful to listeners as well. But there's a lot of opponents to this solid waste transfer station. Now, this is going to be on South Bund Street in unincorporated McLean County. And people have held up yard signs. They've attended public comment. They say that they don't want this in their backyard. It's called Lakeshore Recycling Systems. And they filed, I guess, an application back in August for
Right.
this transfer station that could handle up to 400 tons of solid waste per day. Yuck. I wouldn't want it in my backyard either. I am like grateful that I don't live in this Bloomington area. It's kind of like Bloomington, but it's not really Bloomington. It's unincorporated.
Yeah.
So tell me, there's a vote supposed to be coming
Well,
up.
it's going before the McLean County Board on Thursday night. Okay. I mean, I'm told that if the McLean County Board rejects it, Bloomington's going to try and annex that in and make it part of Bloomington, and they're going to do it. So, I mean, if you live out there in that area and you think that you're going to kill this just at the county board level, you better keep the fight going afterwards, because the fight is only halfway done at that point, even if the county board should kill it. County board members are restricted in what they can say because it's quasi-judicial hearing. I mean, some of the stuff that you can only consider what's on the record. It's partly a legal proceeding. You can only consider what's on the record when you make your decision whether to keep it or not keep it. It's also quasi-political. So if you do have an opinion on it, you certainly are free to write your county board member and let them know. But we were instructed not to respond to those emails. So, I mean, that's what we were instructed, not to respond to those emails.
Check. To not respond to the constituents who are emailing you.
That's what we were instructed to
By
do
who?
because by our state's attorney. We were told that you be careful what you say on this because you can only consider the things on the record. You could write back and say, thank you for the email. I appreciate hearing your
This
views.
law, whatever law you're talking about, it's unconstitutional.
You can write back to someone and say, thank you. I appreciate hearing your views. I thank you for writing me. I'll take that into consideration. But you really can't go into the details of it because legal is concerned that if we don't focus our eyes only on what's on the record, the transfer station company could walk across the street over to the Law and Justice Center and file a lawsuit. County board members have to restrict their consideration to just what's in the record. Okay. That doesn't mean you as a constituent can't write them and tell them your opinion. Okay. You're certainly free to do that. But what we have to do is we have to look at the record and say, this is what the record says.
Wow. That's incredible. I don't like that at all. I don't know what.
Well, it's kind of been that way when you get zoning issues and other things. It's that you go before the zoning board. The zoning board collects the evidence. That's a legal proceeding. You're only allowed to consider what was presented into evidence. Okay, you can't go out and do your own. And it doesn't mean that if you don't support something, you can't find a way. You can just say, I disagree with the opinion of the zoning board, or I disagree with their interpretation of the facts. I've read the facts. I interpret them differently. You can do that, but you have to keep your decision based on what's in the record.
Okay. So what is in the record when it comes to the transfer station?
Well, it's just testimony and other issues about where this is going and what people feel about it. I mean, it'll be an interesting issue. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I really don't. I do know this. I've been on the county board for 12 years and I have never received as many emails opposing something as I have that transfer station. I mean, I don't even know if it's 15-1 because I don't even know that I've gotten one that says I support it. But I mean, so, if that's the way you feel, you should continue to contact your county board member. But remember, if the county board does deny it, you better watch the city of Bloomington. Mm-hmm. You better watch what their next step's going to be. Okay. Because that's what we're told is that it's kind of a pressure thing on us. You either accept it or the city's going to.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah.
And the citywide, and then there'll be a fight at the city council. So,
Yeah, well, there's been signs. I've seen them, yard signs. It says LRS, don't dump on Bloomington.
Yeah.
There's like a whole initiative about it. And I'm curious on what will happen. But what have you heard from constituents?
Well,
I mean, that?
Well, I mean, I can tell you that some people, Some people have been very vocal about you will not vote for that. That's
Oh.
how that's what they say. Hey, you know, you're not going to vote for it. That's my opinion. That's their opinion. Hey,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. You're not going to vote for it.
Yeah.
Chuck Erickson.
I mean, you know, there's no like, you know, hey, I would like, please don't vote against it. You're not going to vote for this. You know?
I love it. I love it. Well, we've got to take a quick break, but we're going to be
Oh,
back.
cigars, yes.
Cigars with Chuck Erickson on Cities 92.9.
Hey everybody, gather round. I'm here to give you anything you like. You want free college, energy, mortgages, whatever you like. You have come to the right place. Why? I'll tell you why. Who can take your money?
Who can take your money?
With a twinkle in their eye.
A twinkle in their eye.
Take it all away and give it to some other guy. The government.
I love it. Give it to some other guy. The government. The government can tax the sunrise. They can tax the trees. Good morning. This is the Morning Buzz. I've got Chuck Erickson in studio. We've only got a couple of minutes left, and I want to talk about your state rep race. Tell me a little bit about this. I wanted to get your thoughts on this mental health screening implemented in Illinois schools everywhere. Now, this was something that obviously the state legislature did, and it's a bill that recommends but doesn't mandate. It kind of requires it. I want to get your thoughts. They're yearly mental health screenings for 8th grade or K through 12th grade, and there are Illinois youth surveys that are pretty invasive. It talks about gender. It talks about drug use. It talks about, here's one question. Do you have an adult in your life other than your parent that you can talk to about serious things? So that's one question on the
gender transition. Do you?
Well, it asks.
Have you ever watched a Trump commercial? If you mean it's that mental health. But,
yeah, right.
I mean, that's where that stuff usually ends up going. Well, this guy sounds like he's a little conservative, and we might want to keep an eye on him. It's these people are just crazy, but. Yeah, I mean, if it's the state doing, it's probably an unfunded mandate. Okay, I mean,
yeah. Well,
and so here it is. You guys do it, but what happened to the idea that parents know their children best? I mean, kids actually belong to their parents. Okay, I mean,
the same law.
They brought them into the world, and they're responsible for them.
Yeah. In that same law, it says that parents, they do no longer in the state of Illinois do they have access to their children's mental health records.
That's wrong. That's ridiculous.
12 through 17. You have access to your mental health records, and you have release power. So you can release them to your parents if you don't object, but you can object. And these Illinois youth surveys that I'm talking about here that are mandated, and you're right, it's unfunded. They're using ESSER funds right now, but those run out in September, I think, of next year. But yeah, unfunded. And they said that, hey, yeah, the kids, if they object, then they don't have to give you their mental health records, so you don't have access to them.
I mean, I always look at it like an attorney. I mean, if you're 16 years old, you still don't have the capacity legally to enter into a contract. Okay, you can sign one, it can be voided out, but I mean, so now all of a sudden, I mean, you can decide your gender, you can decide everything else. You still just can't enter into a contract, though. That's the one thing you can't do. Okay, I mean,
drive a car.
Or drive a car or anything. I do want to say this real quick. You can find me on Facebook, Chuck Erickson for Illinois, or you can find me on my website, chuckericksonconservative.com. I think you'll find, when you look at my record, in my experience, I think you'll find what you like, and I hope to get your vote on March 19th.
Wonderful. Well, folks, we're done. You guys have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye. I love you. And thanks for joining me and Chuck here in the last hour.
Oh, cigars.
With Chuck Erickson. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.